All right. Welcome back. We are doing lead generation this month. Focused in on that. We have class today and we have class on Thursday at 9 a.m. And then we're off for a week for our, what do they call it? Snow week. But it's President's Day next Monday and just taking some time off. So just know that that's the case. Let's go ahead and dive in. As always, if you have questions, you can just unmute yourself and interrupt me. You are welcome to raise your little Zoom hand, or you are welcome to throw your question in the chat box. So today, sorry, I'm just rearranging my screens just a little bit so that I can see everything. So give me 2 seconds. All right. So remember, and you're going to hear this over and over and over again, so just be prepared for it, that when we talk about lead generation, we talk about having 5 legs or 5 methods of lead generation. Your first one should always be your database. We covered that in January. I can't express it enough how important that is. Go back and watch the videos for January if you missed those, because we talked about how to do your database. The second method of lead generation that everybody should have is leads from listings. We covered that last week on Monday. So go back and watch that training where we dive into what lead generation is. And then we also, at the end of it, so get all the way to the end, we talk about how to generate leads from listings. In addition to that, you're going to choose 3 more methods of lead generation. So we're just exploring this month some of those and showing kind of what that would entail, some ways to dig into it and level that up, and then also kind of like on a daily basis what that would look like. So today we're going to talk about diving into social media to expand your reach. Now, keep in mind, good morning, Deborah, keep in mind that I truly believe that everyone should have social media, even if it isn't a form of lead generation. Number one, it allows you to plug into our Foxhole group, which you get all sorts of good information for. We also have the Slack channel, but I actually think there's more information on the Foxhole group on Facebook than anywhere else. So you have access to that by having social media. Next, it gives you an outlet to be able to promote listings, advertise open houses, and then make sure that when people search for you, that they can validate you as an agent. So I would recommend that you have social media presence. That being said, how you operate first on social media for lead generation is different than how you would run just your regular daily activities. So today, we're going to deep dive into lead generation on social media. So here are the topics that we're going to cover today. Talk about creating a system, identifying your tribe, creating a plan, creating posts, and interacting with people. I'm going to apologize in advance. If this lesson seems a little bit all over the place, it probably is, and you're going to want to take notes. There's just so much content, and it overlaps over and over again, and the information is always changing. So I'm always, every time I do this class, I try to hop in here and update the information. That was no different today. I've been updating it, I don't know, for about the past 3.5 hours. So I've spent a lot of time on this today, just switching it up. I often take social media classes so that I know and understand the content. I know what's going on with the new algorithms that happen with social media, because those are changing all the time. And I try to keep it updated. So, so know that I have done that. But in doing that, I feel like this kind of got a little all over the place. It's a little wonky. So just hang with me, take notes. All right. I'll start by saying that I'm old. Okay, I'm old. I'm a grandma. I'm a grandma of 2 now. I've got 2 grandkids. I'm old. And it can be, social media can be a little overwhelming. Okay, as I was just talking about, there's constant updates, there's new platforms, there's algorithm changes. It's hard to keep up with it all. So that being said, I would say stick with what you know, or focus on a main platform or maybe 2 platforms. I would probably treat this the same that I treat everything else in real estate. If I'm using this for lead generation, I'm probably going to pick one platform. For me, this might be Facebook. I'm going to master lead generation on Facebook, and then I'm going to move over to something else like LinkedIn or Instagram or whatever that might be. Okay. So master one and then move on to the next one. That doesn't mean that you don't have 5 different social media platforms for personal use. Absolutely. Doesn't mean that you can't cross post or go ahead and kind of use those and lead generate on other ones. Absolutely. But as far as creating those systems and processes, I would start by one, create systems and processes around that one, and then add to it as you master each one, just because they all function a little bit differently. Okay. So me personally, I use Facebook. Okay. Facebook automatically cross posts onto Instagram, and I also use YouTube. 2 different methods, 2 different lead gen purposes. YouTube is mainly lead gen based on coaching versus Facebook is more real estate related. Okay. There's no wrong or right. I just personally don't care to try to learn a newer platform. I do have an Instagram, and like I said, my Facebook automatically cross posts onto that. I think it also maybe cross posts onto X. I could be wrong though. But any of the platforms can be effective at lead generation. So just pick your platform and master it. You will see some of this content is going to apply to no matter where you're using. Others is going to be specific to Facebook. And one of the reasons for that, and one of the reasons I really like Facebook, is you have the ability to create communities or groups, which is a bonus when it comes to lead generation, because it's not just based on your posts. With like an Instagram, it's all based on just posts. But we're going to talk more about that later. And then also keep in mind that Facebook is the largest social media platform. And when you look at the age of the people using Facebook, they are generally those that on average are the age of home buyers. And keep in mind, every morning there's 260 million people on Facebook, which is a huge audience. Okay, so make sure you know your platform that you're going to choose. You know the average user, and make wise choices. Being on a platform that's predominantly used by high schoolers may not be the best use of your lead generation time. Okay. In addition to that, I would recommend that no matter which platform you use, that you set your profile to public when we're using it for lead generation. So that way, when people look for you, they can find you, they can share your posts, they can see those posts without actually friending or following you. It just, it expands your reach. Okay. All right. When it comes to platforms like Facebook or Instagram, you can have business pages or business profiles, and those are becoming more and more obsolete. Okay. For business pages to get traction, generally speaking, you have to spend a lot of money. They were not designed for organic traffic. They were designed for business owners to be given a platform to spend money on ads. Okay, so for an average solo agent, it's probably not the best idea to necessarily have a business page, because we're talking like thousands of dollars in lead generation or ad spend to get traction. Okay, now that doesn't mean that I'm telling you not to have a business page. Okay. But when it comes to platforms like Facebook, it may be a better option to create a community page for your business than to have a business page, because that community page is going to get more traction. So just something to keep in mind. In addition to whether you create a community page or a business page, that's going to give you a place, and we'll talk about this a little bit more too, a place to tag your business to stay in legal compliance, of making sure that you have your DRE number and your brokerage is identified on all first point of contact. Okay. So if you put that DRE number on your business page or your community page in the title, and then you make sure that in the information you identify the brokerage that you're associated with, and then you tag that page, that helps you stay in compliance. Because remember, for DRE compliance, it's all first point of contact, which social media is first point of contact, because we're lead generating from it, right? People are seeing your information for the first time. So if you have any posts, when we post on social media, if they have a photo that has like your information on it, like maybe you're posting about an open house and it has your logo on it, it also needs to have the brokerage logo on it. Okay, it also needs to have your DRE number. If you just have an image with no writing and you have like a description, then in that description needs to be your DRE number and identifying the brokerage, which makes it really easy that you can either like hashtag your DRE number, you could hashtag the brokerage, you could actually tag the brokerage page, which might help you get in front of more people. Or you could tag your business page. There's lots of options there to stay in compliance. We just want to make sure that you are in compliance. So your DRE number or your license number and your brokerage need to be identified on all business related posts. Okay. Any questions before we continue on? All right. Let's make sure that we get our pages set up appropriately. So you need to spend some time and thought into setting up your pages, whether it's your personal page, a community page, a business page. First, as we already mentioned, you want that page to be public, right? Because we want people to be able to find you and we want your post to be able to be seen. And if somebody shares your post and your post is set to private, then if your post is set to private, when they share it, people won't see it. Okay, it'll only share with those that can see it. Now, if you're like, Amy, but I like to put personal stuff on social media. Well, that's fabulous. Absolutely. Because people want to see your personal information and get to know you on a personal level. But if it's more personal things you just want to share with friends and family, you can actually create or change. So you can create a list on your friends list and call it like friends and family. And then you can actually target posts that are only shared with friends and family. So you can change the privacy of each and every post. So if it's a private, super private one that you only want to go to certain people, you can actually do that, especially on Facebook. Again, I don't know the other ones as well because I don't spend as much time on those. All right. We talked about compliance already, but you need to make sure you have your DRE number. I like to put it in like the description or the about you part so that it's right there at the top. And so we want to make sure to have that in each and every post, and the same as your brokerage. So, as with your DRE number, the brokerage needs to be identified in all business posts. So you can either tag the Realty One group every time it's a business post. You can make sure to put it in the about me. It should be in the about me. You can actually log where you work on your personal page. So you want to make sure that you put Realty One Group Fox there as your current employer, because then that just helps to make sure that you're identifying correctly and that you stay out of trouble with the DRE. Your profile photo should be forward facing. It should be recent so that people can see your face and recognize you. Okay, along with that, your banner or header or cover photo, you know, the long one that goes behind you, it should be crisp and clear. And it should be a photo that includes things that people have an affinity for and that represents you. Okay, so some of those things are, it's like, you know, people are drawn to kids and pets or even quotes, but it should represent you, clear and crisp, and draw people in. Okay, the next thing I'm going to tell you is you're like, oh, Amy, that seems so stressful. I got to like update that cover photo because mine's junk, but it's okay. But here comes the stressful part. I want you to change that profile photo and your cover photo each and every month. Okay, so you're going to put a reminder on your calendar to change and update the profile photo on, let's say, the 1st of every month, and update your cover photo on, let's say, the 15th of every month. Okay, this is because when we do that, it keeps your page fresh and it keeps you in front of more people. Our whole goal here is to work the algorithms when it comes to social media to stay in front of as many people as possible. Okay, and don't ask me why this is because I don't know, but I have been told that 2:15 in the afternoon is the key time to do those two updates when it comes to your profile photo and your cover photo. So when you put that calendar appointment on your calendar, you want to put it in the morning on the 1st and the 15th to decide which profile photo you're going to use and which cover photo you're going to use. And then we want to have a secondary appointment on at 2:15 on the 1st and the 15th to actually pull the trigger on the update, probably like 2:13, okay? Because that time, for whatever reason, is key. That's going to get you in front of more people.
Do you have like an example of a cover photo or what it should look like?
It really doesn't matter. We want it to be probably like a landscape photo, because if you do a portrait photo, when you go to put it, it's not going to fill up the space, or it's going to stretch it funky to make it fit the space. And there's no wrong or right answer there to what the cover photo should be. It should just represent you. I wouldn't personally put like a bunch of writing on it. Your name's going to be on there because it's on your profile. We don't want it to really be like a salesy type thing. We just want it to be like, oh, when people look at that, they see Adriana, like that's who she is. So it could even be like you in your Pilates studio, because you teach Pilates in addition to real estate, right? Or it could be you know, get somebody to take a picture of you like opening a door of a home, or for me, it could be like me on horseback, right? So whatever that is, there's no wrong or right answer to it. We just want it to say you, and we just want it to like draw people in. We want it to be something that's going to cause people to comment and like it or respond to it when we change out that profile photo. Does that make sense? Okay.
Yes.
Perfect. In addition to that, I'm going to stress you out even more. Not only do we have to pick photos, we have to switch them out monthly. And please don't go back and repeat photos. Okay, that's going to hurt you more than it helps because of those weird social media algorithms. So don't go back and reuse the head profile that you used for your profile photo. Don't go back and reuse that headshot in 2 months. We just want to every month do a fresh one. Okay, that's going to get you in front of more people. In addition, when setting up your page, you want to make sure that your contact information is current and that you have public contact information. For the most part, in most of the platforms, you can have primary information, which is forward facing to the public, which they can see, right? That would be like your business email, your business phone number. And then you can also have secondary contact information that you can set to private. So this goes back to like those beginning lessons that I always teach, which is like you should have your own business number and not just your cell phone for business, because this way, when you share things like this, it's not your personal cell phone number. It's like your business number, right? So we're going to go back to that theory there. And, make sure that you've got it on. I can't tell you the number of times that I go to look up a agent on social media, because that's a really good way to get to know somebody. And when I'm looking for referrals, I'm trying to get to know the agents before I even call them. And I go to their social media page and I'm trying to find like their contact information and I can't find it. So make sure it's on there, because they're losing potential leads because they don't have contact information on their social media. So make sure it's on there. And then make sure that you have your bio or the about me section or whatever it's called on each one. It should be completed and it should be relatable. Okay, I do recommend when it comes to your bio that your bio probably carries over from all the other platforms onto social media. That being said, on like a my Barry's profile versus Facebook profile, my Facebook one maybe have more of a friendly tone to it, right? They should all be relatable. They should all talk about our history of what we have, who we are. But it may be more casual when it comes to social media, and that's okay, but it should ultimately kind of communicate the same information. Okay, so make sure you set your pages up for success. All right. When we post on social media, in the past, I've said, hey, do an 80-20 rule. I'm going to change it up a little bit. I'm going to say use a 5-to-1 strategy. Okay. On our personal pages, we should have 5 posts that are going to be related to our personal lives. Okay. Bonus there, if we can subtly post personal. May have to go track down some water in a minute. If you can subtly post personal and roll business into it. For example, you may make a post about, like for me, right? I like riding horses. So I might make a post that talks about the fact that I love being a realtor, because it gives me the flexibility to go riding with friends on a Wednesday afternoon when the trails are less crowded and there are less bikers. Right? So see how I dropped that in there on my personal post that I'm a realtor, so that people are seeing that. So you can do things like that. That still counts as a personal post. Okay, so we're going to make 5 of those. For every 5 personal posts, then the 6th one can be business related. We don't want to overwhelm people with business posts. And our business related post should include more than just look at this listing. It should include things like real estate related news and other valuable real estate related information. It could also include things like home maintenance tips, fun things you see when out showing homes, or just those types of posts, right? We want to tie them into what we're doing professionally. It could be things like, do you like this kitchen or that kitchen, right? This or that type of posts. They should be fun. They should offer valuable information outside of just listings. Our goal here is to talk about a problem that somebody may have that they want to solve. And we want to try to stay away from things that are like commercials or self-promotion, right? We don't want to be like the pick me realtor. Okay. Because when people see commercials, they change the channel, and we don't want people just to scroll away from our page or our posts. So we want to offer fun, valuable information that's going to be a benefit to them. Okay. If you do have a business page, so personal page is going to be a 5-to-1 at 5 personal posts and then 1 business post. On our business page, we do want to make sure that it has content when people look at it. We may post less frequently, which I'll talk about here in a minute. And I would say on our business page, it probably should also be a 5-to-1 ratio, with 5 posts being business related. And they can even be a little bit more businessy on our business page. And then 1 post should be personal, because people still want to get to know you. They still want to know who you are when you're not a realtor. So it's important to share who we are on our business pages, but we can make more businessy and less personal. Okay. And again, we still, even though they can be more businessy on our business page, we still don't just want listings or open house posts. I can't tell you what a turnoff it is if I go and click on somebody's business page and it's just like, join me for an open house, join me for an open house. I close this listing. I'm like, this person's all about themselves. Like, are they really going to take care of my client? So we want them to we want to share information. The same posts that you post on your personal page that are business related can go on your business pages. Okay, so you don't have to create the wheel and duplicate. We can just copy and paste it over. It can be the exact same information. Okay, so again, we used to say 80-20 rule, 80% business, 20% or 80% personal, 20% business. But I like the 5-to-1 ratio just because I think it's easier to remember. It's actually a little higher. It's closer to like, you're doing 6 posts and 5 of them. So it's probably like an 85%, 85 to 15 or something, maybe even like a 90-10. So I just think it's better and it makes it easier to figure out. Keep in mind too, that some platforms are going to allow you to schedule posts. So you don't have to remember to post daily. So you can set it up at the beginning of the week. For when creating and scheduling posts, I do recommend 2 things. The first is, don't post external links in your post. Okay, any external links, we're going to put those in the comments section, because if you put a link in your post, the social media platform is going to bury that post because they don't like you taking people away from their platform. So if I'm going to post about a listing or a coming soon or something that I have with a link to my website for them to get more information, I'm not going to put that link in the actual post. I'm going to put like the top 3 or 4 photos in there, or maybe just the top photo, and then see the comments for more information. And then in that comment section, I'm going to put that link to take them to the website for all the information. Okay. Just using that as an example. Secondly, don't use a third-party service to schedule posts, because again, these social media platforms want you using the tools that they've given you, or want you to be the one to post. So if we use a third-party site, your post is not going to get as much traction as it would if you made that post or scheduled that post. Like Facebook has a way to schedule posts out, even on your personal page, at least once you reach a certain level. So they would rather use their tool that they've given you than to pay somebody else. Okay, so don't get your post buried by either putting links in it or by using a third-party service. Okay. When you post, tag people and don't do it randomly. You want to be strategic and not spammy when you tag people. Like there's nothing that irritates me more when I get notified that I've been tagged and I go to the post and look at it and it's just like, I've tagged all my friends in this post. Like that doesn't pertain to me. I'm going to go in there and untag myself. So you want to tag people when it makes sense for who they are or what they do, right? The goal here is to get more eyes on your post. So when I tag somebody in my post, they get a notification. It also shares it on their timeline. So then if one of their friends go to their timeline or is scrolling through their post, it could show up to their friends as well. So again, we don't want to be spammy because if somebody does remove the tag on themselves, it's going to hurt you more than it helps you. So let's say that you're doing a post about home maintenance, right? Maybe you're saying, hey, it's that time of year again. Make sure you clean your screens on your windows because spring is coming. Here's a tip on how to do that. We may want to go ahead and tag like home or pest inspectors on there or contractors or handyman, or if we have people on there that actually own screen cleaning businesses or window cleaning businesses, like tag those people on that post because it's going to help them grow their business. It's going to help you get in front of their people as a realtor of choice. So that would be a win. I wouldn't go, hey, go do home maintenance and then tag all my realtor friends. That doesn't make sense. Okay. But if I had like an open house or a coming soon, I might tag all my realtor friends because now they're being made aware that, hey, I've got this listing coming open, like send people my way type thing. Right. So just be strategic and purposeful in how you tag people. It is a good idea though. You may even want to create lists of people to tag in those posts so that you know exactly, we don't have to think about, oh, who are my friends that are handymen? Like we have a list of all of our handymen on social media. You can even create that in like on Facebook in your friends list. You can create that list. Okay, so make sure to do that. 5-to-1 strategy. Okay, so let's talk about types of posts and when to post. We want to create posts that people are going to interact with. Okay, so keep in mind that the top posts on most social media platforms are often those that have either cats or kittens, dogs and puppies, kids and other animals. People like animals. So we want to make sure to incorporate those into your mix because they just get more views. Okay, in addition, you want to make sure to create your brand. You want to be consistent with your posts to create branding. So you want to think about things like, what do I like or enjoy? What makes me unique or what makes me stand out, right? What are my interests? Do I have pets? Do I have a family? What are my hobbies, right? What's my story? So you want to take some time to focus in on those items to create and know who your avatar are. Who are you, right? And then we want to focus in on those things when we go to create our content. Okay, we want to create the brand of us. So when people go to my page, there should be no question that I love riding horses. For the most part, minus the last few weeks, I probably need to be better about it because I haven't been riding because we've got snow on the ground. But for the most part, like you go to my page at least 9 months of the year and there's, you've got horse spam everywhere because that's what I spend most of my time doing. That's what I enjoy doing. That's what I try to post. Those are the people that I want to connect with. Okay. When it comes to business content, feel free to leverage the information you already have to make it go further. So you can use the same content across multiple platforms. So if I create a newsletter for my database, you can take that information, you can turn it into blogs, you can turn it into vlogs, you can turn it into emails, text messages, and posts for social media. So there's no sense in recreating new content for each type of media if you're already sending stuff out and doing research on it. So take that newsletter and use it to your fullest ability to make it last all month. Okay. Next, make sure that you're engaging with people on social media to make it an effective form of lead generation. You want to make sure you add everybody to your social media as either friends or invite them to follow your page. And this includes tracking down your leads, people in your database, your vendors, neighbors. You're going to find and add them all. I actually went to Nextdoor And found my neighbors based on Nextdoor, went and found their names based on the city in when I lived in Vacaville, right? I did this first with the property on Elizabeth. I went to Nextdoor, found my neighborhood for Elizabeth. I then looked at all the neighbors, went back to social media, did some research, found them and added them on as my friends on Facebook. Okay. When I have an open house, you better believe that I'm going to take those lead slips and go back to social media and try to find them on social media. I saw them pass through the open house. I know what they look like. Makes it really easy for me to find them on social media. I'm going to add them in on social media because now I've got more interactions with them. They're seeing my personal posts. They're getting to know me as a human. They're getting to know me as a realtor. So it's a win-win. So add everybody onto your social media. Okay. That being said, don't make too many friend requests at one time. You really don't want to exceed about 5 friend requests per day, or maybe like 20 to 25 per week. Okay. And then once a week, you need to go into your outstanding friend requests and clean them up so that anything that's over like 72 hours old gets deleted out. Nope, no longer requested that person to be my friend. Now, we probably want to keep track of those people. Who did we request that didn't accept us that we deleted? Because maybe in 2 or 3 weeks, we want to go back and re-request them. But we don't want them just sitting out there for months at a time. We don't want 89 outstanding friend requests. Okay, so you can always repeat it. In addition to that, we want to make sure that you are either accepting or declining requests to be your friend or followers. We want to keep that cleaned up as well. I promise these all sound like silly things, but they help Facebook or the other social media platforms go, oh my gosh, this person really cares about their social media. And so I want to get them in front of more people because they're like our model citizen, right? So it all adds in and adds up. So keep that list cleaned up. Now, that doesn't mean that you should accept all the friend requests, because I highly recommend that if there's creepers, just send them on their way. There's no reason to accept the foreigners and different people who just want to send you ridiculous messages. Okay.
Hey, may I have a question?
Yeah.
So I don't have a business page. I have two Facebook pages, but one of them is like my really old personal, and then I created another one that's more of like my business stuff.
Okay.
So I know that in order to do like what am I trying to say? In order to do like not a campaign, but to anyway, I'll think about that later. Kids, so on the regular Facebook page, there's the way to like boost your thing, and like it has like when you do that, it'll say like call. Is that another good way to like get people to like get in touch with you?
Yeah, so you absolutely now, it used to be that you could only boost posts from your business page. They aren't doing that anymore. You can boost posts from your personal page. I don't know when it comes to boosting posts from your personal page, how much traction you're getting, but I do think it does help. So like if I had a new listing or an open house, boosting it from my personal page is going to be a way better option than boosting it from my business page. Because I know on the business page, again, unless you're spending like kind of thousands of dollars, you're not really getting in front of the right people.
Okay, so it's better to do it from a business page, not a personal page.
No, it's better to do it from your personal page.
Oh, okay.
Yep.
Okay. All
Yeah.
right.
This goes back to it's not really necessary to have a business page anymore, although I would make sure that either it clearly identifies you on your personal page as being in business as a realtor, or that you have like a community page that's your realtor page. But if you're going to do a business page or a community page, you just need to make sure that you are current on putting content on it on a regular basis, that's part of your schedule. Because I think people being able to find you is good as a professional, but if it doesn't have any content, then it doesn't matter. And I wouldn't use those anymore necessarily for running ads, because it's just not as effective. Okay.
That's what I was trying to say was running an ad.
Yeah. So You can't run ads from your personal page. I don't think you can boost the post. You can't run ads. But again, when it comes to ads, if we're not spending thousands of dollars, it's really not getting in front of the right people. And I can attest to that because in doing Cyberbacker, I was running ads on a regular basis. And, I was spending quite a bit of money to get a few responses from the right people that were actually leading anywhere. It's one thing to get like likes or reactions, but it's another thing to actually pick up leads or sell a property that way. And you can do that much more effectively from your personal page. I mean, especially if you're growing that friends list and that followers list, because now you've got 2, 3, 4,000 people on your personal page versus, a couple hundred that like your business page. So it really just doesn't pan out as well.
Yeah. Okay. Thanks.
Yep. All right. So keep those friend requests cleaned up, both the ones that you're requesting and the ones that are requesting to be your friend, as well as make sure to continually be adding. The goal is more followers or more friends. With that, I would recommend posting a minimum of 1 time per day. 3 times per day is going to be way better. But if you only make it to 1 post a day, I would make sure to make that a morning post, because it's going to give your people more time to interact with you throughout the day, your circle of influence. And I would say you want to do a mix of posts from videos, pictures, text only. You'd be surprised at how much play text only, especially if you make it short and you use the colored backgrounds that like Facebook gives us the option of. Again, this is really more Facebook centric training because that's the one I'm most familiar with, although I know the other platforms give you tools and stuff. So if you use those colored backgrounds, you get more play as well. And don't forget to do like stories and reels along with regular feed posts. We want to do a mix of everything.
Because I was going to ask, does the story count as one of your posts a day?
Absolutely. Absolutely. And you can cross post. So we can do a mix of stories, reels, and your regular feed post. And it can be the same post because the people that watch stories is different than the people that may pull up your reel, which is people that might be different than are seeing your feed, right? So it's all a little bit different. So you can cross post the same thing on all 3. Okay. If you use reels or stuff, put the music on it too, and figure out what the top songs are, because sometimes those top songs, like if somebody is known to be like lingering more on a video with one of the songs, then sometimes they get things that come up in their reels that then have the same music or similar music. So picking things that use that popular information or just fun stuff, it can help get you more plays. But yeah, absolutely. Repeat the content, post all the different ways. Let's see, we talked about if you post only in the morning or only once a day, do it in the morning so that you have more time to interact with your circle of influence. And I would make sure to block some time, especially doing this for lead gen, to come back throughout the day. I would recommend like 30 minutes twice, 2 to 3 times a day, to interact with those that have interacted with me. So if I'm going to make a post, I want to come back a couple hours later. I want to emote their comments, right? So I'm going to give them like the happy face or the caring or whatever to their comment. Really anything but the thumbs up. The thumbs up doesn't help you at all. So don't use thumbs up anymore on anybody's thing. Hover over it, pick one of the other options. You're going to get higher in the algorithms by using those other options. We want to reply to those comments made, so you can like them or whatever on there, love them or care for them or give them an angry face, and then reply back to that comments, because the more comments and replies that you have, the number one, the more people you interact with, now you're going to start showing up in their feed, especially if they've interacted with you, and we want to show up in as many people's feed as possible. Number 2, your post is going to go back to the top because it's getting more interactions. And even if it's a post that doesn't have very many interactions or any at all, go back and re-like your own posts, okay, or re-love it. Remember, we're going to go on there and do anything but the thumbs up. We're going to emoticon on our own post because that'll help to pull it back up to the top as well of people's feeds. In addition to just responding to people's comments or emoticoning on their comments, we also want to re-engage with those people that have liked or commented on our posts. So we can then click on their link and go to their page, and now we can comment on one of their posts. Or we can reach out to people with direct messaging because people like direct messaging, right? So our goal here, when we talk about social media and we talk about using it for lead gen, is we want to create posts that are going to be engaging, that people want to engage with, comment on, emoticon on, that are going to get a lot of traction. And because that's going to help us start showing up in their feeds, as well as start showing up to their friends. And then we also want to go interact with those people because we want to build relationship with them. So direct messages and then commenting on their posts is another way to build messages, as well as the more that we interact with them, the more that they're going to see our posts. Okay, does that make sense to everybody? The goal here? Okay. The key times and topics to post about. Okay, we want to catch people at the prime time. So we want to post before the prime time to get the most amount of traction. Okay, so the peak times based on recent data of when people are on and interacting with social media are 7:30 in the morning, 10:30 in the morning, 2:30 in the afternoon, 5:30 in the evening, and 9:30 at night. And remember, we want to post before those times because we want to make sure our post is on there and starting to get traction when we hit those peak times. So we want to post at least 3 times per day. Remember, I told you to take notes. This is important. At least 3 times per day. With the first post, make it your goal to post around 7:07 a.m. That's going to help you catch that 7:30 crowd, or be posted when it's building and also when it's starting to drop off. So we've got that peak. Those are our early risers, or those ones that are scrolling before they go to work. Okay, you want to post something in the morning that's inspirational or motivational. Those get the most play. Okay, then our next post, and you can handpick which 3, you can play around with them, see which ones you like the best, see which ones are getting you the most traction with your friends and followers. The next would be around 10:07 a.m. to catch those that are the stay-at-homers. Okay, ideally here you would post something that is home project related, DIY, family related, or what you did, the day before, the week before, what you were doing, what outings you're taking. Okay, so 10:07, that's to catch the people at that 10:30. So we're going to catch them on the way up and on the way down as they're building to that crescendo of 10:30. The next one is if you want to attempt a viral post. And this got mentioned too, that a lot of like foodies are on at this time, right? They're having their lunch, they're scrolling, looking for fun things, but this is that 2:30 crowd. And this is the best time to attempt those viral posts. The goal is to have it posted by 2:07. Okay, and then our next opportunity would be around 5:07 to catch the people getting off work, trying to catch up on the day's events. These are kind of our finisher crowd. So posting trendy stories, or trending stories, not necessarily trendy, but trending stories, fun news, entertaining posts, and posts about movies or shows, right? Posts that are going to guide them into their evening activities. Okay, so that's 5:07 to catch that 5:30 crowd, or that peak. The next peak then happens around 9:30 in the evening. So you want to catch them. You want to make sure you have that posted a little before. So the goal here would be like 9:07 to catch them while they're watching TV and scrolling on their phones. So they're looking here for something funny and lighthearted, something to laugh at, something that's going to entertain them as they're getting ready to go to bed. Okay, and then as previously mentioned, we want to do a mix of post types. So make sure you're mixing it up with plain text, especially using those colored backgrounds, using the ones that have your little avatar on them too. Because remember, any of the tools that Facebook or any of the other social media platforms have given us, whether it's enhancing our posts or adding to it, we want to use those, because every time you use those tools, they're going to bump you up in the algorithm because you're using things they've given you, and that makes them happy. Okay. So mix it up with plain text, pictures, stories, reels, videos. We just want to mix up all the different types of opportunities we have to post. And keep in mind that social media videos should be shorter than 58 seconds. If you are using something like YouTube, then your video should be longer than 8 minutes. So social media, 58 seconds or less. YouTube should be longer than 8. Okay, any questions before we continue on? Okay. It doesn't matter what platform or platforms you decide to use, but you do need to determine your audience. Who is your ideal client? Okay. For me, it would be people that like love being outdoors, specifically other horse people. Maybe, you know, we're getting ready to, well, not really. It's only February. We're not into gardening season yet, but I'm starting all my plants indoors. So, right. So garden people, right. So I know who my people are. For you, it may be like, I like 25 to 40-year-olds that love sports cars. Or maybe for me, my target audience is single moms. Or maybe somebody's is people who love wine and finding the perfect food pairings with their wine, right? So who knows? There's no wrong answer for who your ideal client is, who you want to do business with the most. Once you identify that key client, though, you want to keep them in mind when creating your content, right? We want to appeal to those people because that's who we're looking to do business with. So we want to attract those everywhere, including our social media. Another good option is to go find other like groups or channels or creators that are targeting the same people and research what they're doing, what's getting the most traction, what kind of posts, what kind of videos, right? What's working well and what isn't. You might even decide to reach out to them and see if they're open to you picking their brain about what's working and what's not. So you can do that as well. So go find those other groups, channels, and creators to figure out what's working and what's not. This way, right? It's not all about recreating the wheel. Okay. In addition to that, on platforms like Facebook, you only get a limited number of friends. So you want to choose wisely. Remember, we talked about maintaining not just your friend requests, but we also need to maintain our friends lists. Okay. And the reason for that is we do want to have a lot of people, but we want them to be real friends. So on Facebook, if you have at least 1,500 friends, you're considered a Facebook influencer. Okay. The next level above that is when you get to 4,000 friends, that means that you've reached celebrity status. Okay. That's ultimately your goal. And if you're like, Amy, there's no way I know that many people, that's okay. I think I've got like 3,500 right now on my friends list on Facebook. I probably know a couple hundred of them, like that I actually know. Okay. But that's okay. We're going to start adding people, you know, that we have friends in common with and all that stuff. The magic really starts at 1,501 friends. Okay. And the reason being is that with fewer than 1,500, 1,500 or less friends on Facebook, our audience is only 7 to 15 people. That's how many people are generally going to see your posts, 7 to 15. Okay, once we get to 1,501 friends, our posts are going to be shown to at least 50 people, and it's going to start growing exponentially from there, which means that when we get to 4,000 friends, our audience is now at least 5,000 people. That's when your posts start getting shown to the most amount of people because you've reached that celebrity status. Okay. So remember that the people you tag are going to see your posts, and it's a good way to get in front of more people. So we want to make sure we tag people strategically because we're going to get in front of them and their friends. And each week when you invite people to be your friends, because we mentioned that I don't know 4,000 people, so we're going to be inviting people we don't necessarily know. We want to add people of value, because we're doing this for lead gen. So we want to look at their profile and say, do they add value to my social media? Are they somebody that I would potentially do business with? Are they a potential client or referral partner? Are they local to your area that you want to do business? Or are they in an area that you're trying to access for more business? Okay, that might be like referral partners in other states. It might be if most of our business is centrally located in Solano County, but we want to grow into YOLO. Do they live in like that Davis area, right? Do you have friends in common? That's a really great place to start because they're more likely to accept your friends list and you're more likely to stay out of trouble if we ask people to be our friends that have friends in common. In fact, it's a really good thing to go to maybe some of our top people that we interact with on a regular time on social media and go to their friends list and see who we're not friends with that we have friends in common with. That's a great way to grow your friends list. But remember, we only want to add about 5 per day or 20 to 25 per week to stay out of Facebook jail. Because when you get put in Facebook jail because they think you're a bot adding people who you don't know, or you get in trouble too many times, then you get put on hold and you can't add friends. You can't do anything with your profile for like a period of time. Sometimes it's a week, sometimes it's 30 days. Sometimes you can still post, sometimes you can't even post. So we want to stay out of Facebook jail. You also want to see how open their profile is, right? So if we don't know them, we think they might be a potential client, but their profile shut down to like private and you can't see anything on there, they're not really necessarily going to benefit us because we want them to see our posts. We want their friends to see our posts. So if their profile's on private, you may want to skip over them and look for people who aren't private first. And then also the other thing to look for is, do they have a birth date on their profile? Not because we want to discriminate based on age, but because we want to be able to wish them happy birthday, because when we wish them happy birthday, other people see who's wished them happy birthday and it gets us out there. It's also a good way to strategically clean up our friends list by staying on top of birthdays on an annual basis. So you want to make sure their profiles like at least semi-private public, if not fully public, and that they have a birthday on there, as well as that they're going to benefit you in your business. Okay. And ideally that you have friends in common. You want to make sure you pick a system as well to go through your friends or your followers list regularly and delete those ghost profiles or those that have left the platform. Those are like fake friends. We don't want fake friends. We don't want people that can't potentially be our friends, as well as when we keep our friends list clean, the platforms themselves like Facebook like that, and they're going to reward that action. Okay. That being said, don't get off this call today and go and start deleting all the ghost friends all at once, or it's going to think you're a bot. And again, you're going to get in trouble. So we want to keep those to like 5 per day, maybe 20 per week of deleting those ghost profiles, unfriending them, or whatever we might do. Okay. Our goal here is to stay out of trouble, but to clean up our pages. Is this making sense to everybody? Okay. Moving. How often for the 5 to 1? So Deborah, on how often for the 5 to 1, I would go with that posting schedule of like 3 per day, right? At least 3 posts per day. You might decide to post. I think I gave you like 4 or 5 times. So for every 3 posts, so like today might be all personal posts that get done, whereas tomorrow, because that would be 3, and then the next day you've got post number 4 and 5 are going to be personal posts, and then the 6th post, so the last one tomorrow, might be a business post. Okay. And then you're just going to repeat that method, and you can mix it up. Like it doesn't have to be necessarily 5 to 1 because we don't always want our business posts showing up in the evenings, or we may want to add more posts throughout the day. So it bumps our business post up. So you can play with that a little bit, but you're just that's just the general rule of thumb. For every 5 personal posts, the next one can be a business post.
Thank you.
All right.
How about
You're welcome.
other people's posts?
Say that again.
How about sharing other people's posts?
Yeah, so sharing other people's posts don't necessarily get you in front of more people as far as the algorithms go. So it's not really truly a benefit. You're better off like kind of pasting that content, copying and pasting it into your own post, and then tagging that person that you got the content from them. That's going to boost your algorithm better than just sharing the post.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, absolutely. All right. Dun, 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 dun. So now that you've chosen your platform, you've identified your ideal clients. We want to put together a plan for success. At the very end of this today, I've got a couple more slides. I'm probably going to go over time a little bit. I'm sorry, but I will show you kind of what this looks like on a weekly basis. You want to block time on your calendar weekly for content creation, right? You want to block time for posting and time for interactions. So it might be that you want to identify what that posting cadence is, and it might vary depending on what platform you're using. So we've been talking mostly about like Facebook today or social media, but if you were using like YouTube, you might only be posting once or twice per week versus Facebook where you're posting like 3 or 4 times per day. Okay, so we already talked about what you're going to post, but next what we want to do is create kind of a content calendar, which is going to help you when you go to create those posts or videos. So you can go with themes. So it might be like a weekly or a monthly theme. So we might decide that like every Monday we post a funny meme, or post about weekend activities. On Tuesday, we post a tip from a book that we're reading. Maybe Wednesday, we're posting a tip for living with pets. Wednesday, you might post a video of a property, neighborhood, or maybe happy clients. The next day might be we're highlighting a local business, right? Or we can tag that business. They're going to share that post and get us in front of a bunch more people. Friday, we might have a call to action to invite people to an open house or to events, right? So we might have like a weekly cadence where here, this is what we're kind of doing. This is our plan for the week. And some other ideas may be like a weekly post asking if somebody wants a list of open houses for the weekends or wants to see the 4-bedroom homes or single story homes or ranch homes that are for sale in the area. The goal here is that we're not posting the list, but we're telling them to message or comment below if they would like it, because it gives us that opportunity to interact with them, hopefully capture their information and dig deeper to find out if they're looking for a home or considering selling, right? So there's lots of ideas there of things that we can post. You may also decide that you want a monthly schedule instead of a weekly schedule, where we base it off a theme for each day, where you have like 30 different themes or one for a day. So that you can just kind of rinse, wash, and repeat each month, where like the first of each month, I might post like market stats. Tuesday might be like a funny meme. Wednesday might be, right? So you can do it that way with a cadence as well. But remember when we're doing this, so I would probably put together a calendar. You could do it for all your posts so that you kind of have an idea of what we're going to post about each week for all 3 areas. I mean, we already know like the first one's going to be a funny or motivational post, right? So it might just be like that key one that we're not sure of yet, or it could be that we put together a calendar. So we kind of have a theme plan per week or per month for both our personal and our business posts, or we might just have a calendar for business posts. And then when those fall on the days that we got business posts coming in based on that 5-to-1 rule, we know exactly, we can glance at the calendar and be like, oh, that's the 3rd. It's time for a business post. So this is what's supposed to go on the 3rd of the month. So there's so many different options there, but kind of having a theme or a cadence or a plan in place can make it significantly easier to make sure that we're posting a variety of posts, from home maintenance tips to for sale listings to client testimonials to DIY tips, right? Whatever that might be. So, so having that cadence in place is a good idea. I recommend creating kind of a content calendar. And that way we're not sitting at the beginning of the week going, I have no idea. My mind is blank. I have no ideas of what I might be posting. It gives us a way to kind of start that process. All right. Some other things when we go to create content, right? Now that we kind of have our content calendar established, we've kind of got a cadence for how or when we want to post. We want to create content, and remember that your content should be consistent in branding. So our goal here is to use like the same colors, the same filters, the same types of fonts, because we're creating a brand. So if somebody were to go to our pictures on our social media, they should look very similar, not in what the actual picture is per se, but in the filter that's on it. When we look at those posts, we're using the same fonts if they've got a font overlay, right? The same ideas so that it's very consistent. So that when somebody sees that post come up in their scrolling, that they go, oh my gosh, that's Iris's. She's always funny. What's hers say, right? Or whatever that is. You also maybe want to search hot topics to know what people are passionate about, what's going to get a response, and what brings them back to who you are, right? Our goal here is to get interactions. I'll never forget the one time I posted a photo of my curtains and they were touching the floor, and I asked for people's opinions of whether curtains should or should not touch the floor. I got like 10 times as many comments and reactions as my regular posts, right? Like, yikes, people, really? But the reality is people like to share their opinions. So doing stuff where people are, the this or that type post, which ones you like better? What should you do? What's the right thing to do? Like, people are happy to share their opinions. That's why they're on social media, because they don't have to do it to your face. All right. In addition to that, when we talk about hot topics and opinions, make sure to decide what soapboxes you want to stand on and what you want to avoid, right? So when using social media for business, you have to remember that it may cause people to respond negatively or to stop following you or to choose to not use you based on what you post. So generally, I recommend avoiding things like politics, religion, things like that on social media. Doesn't mean you have to. Those are just some of those hot buttons. As well, just so you know, if I go to somebody else's page and they've made a political post and I like or dislike that post, everybody else can see that I've done that. Okay, so just be careful. Know what soapboxes you want to stand on and what you want to avoid. Okay, when it comes to those hot topics, it's totally up to you. Some people may be like, well, those are my people and that's who I want to do business with. So I don't care if the other people leave me forever. At least I'll have my tribe. Totally okay. You're welcome to do that. You can search hashtags to include with your posts and with your content calendar, right? So if I have a content calendar set up for, here's what I'd like to do funny thing memes on Monday, then I can save that hashtag for what hashtag should I use with funny realtor memes and put those on my content calendar so that I know what those popular hashtags are. I don't have to go look for them every time I post that on that Monday. I can just go to my calendar, copy and paste it onto there. Okay. Hashtags help people to find your post or your video that may not have seen it otherwise. So just kind of keep that in mind. They are useful. And remember to put a call to action in the post or description. We want feedback, opinions, polls, anything that would call for them to respond to your post or video. Okay. You might even do something, especially for the super businessy post, where you have like a Calendly calendar link with a call to action, something like use my Calendly link to set up a one-time consultation with me to discuss buying or selling or investing in real estate, right? But again, we don't want to put that link in the post. We want to put it in the comment section. So you see that link in the comment section. So they can click on it and book an appointment with you. So you could do something like that or some sort of call to action. Like comment below if you want to learn more about why we change our batteries and our smoke detectors every year or when the best time is, right? So we want people to be interacting. If you're having difficulty coming up with content, make a list of like 30 questions that people ask with regards to real estate or the buying or selling process. It's going to give you questions to answer in your posts and videos for the next 30 days. And even better, if you don't even come up with those on your own, if you put it on your social media, what questions, when buying a home, what do you wish you would have known? Right? If you've thought about selling a home, what do you wish you knew about that process? And then you can take those answers and put them into your content for the next month. Okay. Also, don't be afraid to utilize AI to help with creating written content or hashtags. You can go to ChatGPT and you can say, hey, create 30 realtor related social media posts for Facebook. And it will spit out 30 ideas or 30 topics or even 30 posts, depending on how you do that. Okay. I do recommend creating your content in advance. Spend a few hours a day to pre-create the content for the week or even the month, because then once your content is created, you can start taking pictures or videos or planning out your next month's content. So everything that I do this month could be setting March up for success because February is already done. In addition to that, remember that how you share your story is important. So it's okay to be real, but I would try to avoid being negative. Okay. So be real without being negative. When you're sharing about closings or listings, remember to share what you did that makes you an amazing choice as an agent. The same idea as when we talked about like postcards for our open houses. We want to share the story that would make people want to pick up the phone and call us to sell their house or to buy a house with us. So not just, oh, home is in contract. We want to share the story of that. I think those are my main points there. Moving right along, make sure to respond to any direct messages immediately. So if somebody sends you a message, make sure you've got your notifications turned on for that so you can respond immediately. And you can make response templates for both post comments and direct messages so that you can respond quickly and easily. So you can set up, like on your iPhone, you can set up text queues. So like anytime I type 3 question marks, it automatically responds with, I'm in an appointment, but I'll get back to you as soon as I'm done, or something like that, just so you've responded to them so they don't feel like they were left hanging. Or, you know, if you're making regular comments like, oh, thanks for commenting, you know, thanks for whatever it was, who knows, you can do that text code and it'll automatically put it in there, or in your notes section on your phone, you can just copy and paste it in there so you don't have to type things every time. So if you see that you're making the same comment over and over again, make it easier on yourself. Make sure that you have your list of like lenders that you refer to handy. So just in case you reach out to somebody, they're like, no, I'm not pre-approved yet. You can just hit copy and paste on those lenders and send them over your lenders list to make sure you stay in control of that transaction. And make sure you plan time in your day so that you can respond to comments. Okay, so remember I said probably 2 to 3 times per day, I would schedule 30 minutes, a 30-minute time blocks where I can go in there and make sure that I'm going to respond to comments with a actual response in words, and that I'm also going to love or emoticon their comment as well. You can also respond to their comment with a direct message, which is totally okay, but I would make sure to respond to their comment on the post that you are responding with a direct message. Number 1, it lets people know that you're responsive. Number 2, it doesn't leave them hanging to make people feel like, oh my gosh, Shauna like didn't even respond to that person. They had a question, there's no response. Now they know that you've responded in a direct message. So that's how I'd handle that. It also triggers them to go look for that message because sometimes, especially if they're not on your friends list, it doesn't automatically show up. We don't want to leave somebody hanging with no response. Partway through the day, I mentioned this already, you want to make sure you like your own post, which is going to help move it back up to the top of the feed because you can interact with your own posts. Most people don't hover over the little like button to see who's liked or emoticoned on it. So go ahead and do that, especially if it's not getting a lot of plays. And we want to make sure that we're here to create relationships. So we want to add the people that are responding to us and interacting with us. We want to add those people to our database and tag them appropriately. We don't want to start systematically connecting with them on social media. We don't want to just leave it to chance. So, which leads me to leveling up our lead gen, right? So the next thing to do is I've had great success. I actually use social media as one of my main forms of lead generation method. There's 2 things that I've done where I found the most success. The first thing is the scroll. I time block time in my day to scroll through my feed of friends with a purpose. Okay, not just I'm sitting on the couch at 10 o'clock at night scrolling through Facebook, but I'm actually scrolling through. I'm trying not to get caught up in reels or mindless feeds. I'm looking for trigger posts. I'm looking for my friends that are talking about not being happy with their current living situation, those experiencing life changes like getting married, getting divorced, growing their family, becoming empty nesters, talking about aging parents. Those are all things that might be an indicator that they might need to move. They may not have even realized it. Right? So I'm going to scroll looking for those things. Number 1, it's a great opportunity to send a card to them. Oh my gosh. I'm so sorry you're going through that divorce. That sounds horrible. I can only imagine, right? So we can send them a card. We can also reach out to them and let them know that if they need any help or they kind of want to know what the value is of their home as they're heading into this divorce, that you can help them with that, right? Growing a family, maybe they talked about, I actually had friends one time that I saw on their feed that they were getting ready to add a room to their house. They were going to try to add an addition. So they were looking for a contractor and I reached out and said, hey, I have some contractors available, but have you thought about selling that home and purchasing another home that maybe even gives you more space than what you're trying to add, one that works better for your growing family? And they're like, oh, I don't think we can. I'm like, well, let's look at it and see if that's an option. They ended up selling that house and purchasing another one. I got both transactions, right? So reach out, have those conversations, look for those trigger posts. If you see any of those indicators, just start that conversation because you never know where it may lead. Don't be like, hey, let's sell your house, but let's just fish them out for why they're looking for that or what they need or what we could do to help them. We're looking to build relationships. Okay. The other thing that you should be aware of is that your friends list is going to be automatically ordered by who you interact with the most when you select view all, and also on your feed. That's what shows up on your feed as well. The people that you interact with most are going to show up more on your feed. So we want to interact with more people to get more variety in our feed so that we're seeing more people's posts. So every day, celebrate people's birthdays. It makes it really easy, especially on Facebook. You can go in and just be like, who's got a birthday today? And it'll show you. In fact, in my messenger, it opens it up. It says, here's today's birthdays. And I just click on it and it actually sends them a message and posts it to their feed. Or if they don't, if it's set for private or whatever, I don't even know what the difference is, but some people I can't post on their regular feed. They've got their settings set a certain way. So I can go in there and send them a direct message from there. So that works too. So I celebrate those birthdays. So I'm interacting with them. Oftentimes what happens is when I wish somebody a happy birthday, sorry if I didn't do this, if you wished me a happy birthday, then they comment back on your posts. So now they're interacting with you as well because you interacted with them. So now they're going to start showing up in your feed a little bit more. If you're heading into a day off, you can wish people an early happy birthday. In fact, you could do it once a week or even once a month. I could log in on the 1st of every month or the 30th of the prior month and be like, hey, I just wanted to wish you a happy birthday month. I know your birthday is coming up, right? So you could take care of those all on one day for the whole month, or maybe every Monday we log in and say happy birthday week, right? Or you could do it on a daily basis. But again, if you're heading into like a day off, we don't want to have to necessarily do anything business related on days off. So the day before your day off, you may log in there and say, hey, I just wanted to wish you a happy early birthday. Okay. So lots of opportunity there to celebrate those birthdays, which is going to help you get in front of more people. You can customize your friends list on Facebook by grouping people. So you can create specific groups. I kind of touched on this earlier that you could create a friends and family group, which means that you could target post your friends and family with specific posts that are private to everybody else where they can't see them. You can also group people maybe by where they live, what their jobs are, how you know them, right? You're going to group people so that you can strategically interact with them. Okay. We might target our people who don't live in the area with referral closing that we maybe don't target other people with, who knows, right? And then we want to systematically interact with those we haven't talked to in a while. So if we add all of our Facebook friends to our database, we work to fill in the missing holes as far as actual contact information, phone number, email, address. Then we can start sending them other stuff. But if nothing else, we can put them on a quarterly plan for social media interaction, which causes me to strategically look those 10 people up this week to interact with them on social media to help my posts show up more in their feeds. Okay. The more people you interact with, the more people that are going to see your posts. So we want to be strategic with that. Does that make sense to everybody? Okay. In case you were like, there's not too much to lead gen in Facebook or social media. Yes, there are. Okay. So that was the first method, right? The scroll, getting people to show up in my feed, interacting with those on social media. The second way that I am intentional with lead gen on social media is by creating groups. This is one of the reasons that I really like Facebook. So there's a couple different ways to do this. One is specific types of groups like home and rental groups that are existing and those what's going on groups. Okay, I really prefer the general groups. In those groups, I'm looking for people that are looking for information, not necessarily on buying or selling, just information. Okay. The posts about like buying and selling are flooded with realtors and real estate agents. So I'm looking to capture the people before they get to that point. Okay. I'm looking for those that are looking for things that are community related. What's the best restaurant for date night? Who is the best vet? Does anybody have a contractor or a handyman? Right? all of those type of posts. I want to build relationship with those people by sharing my area knowledge, sharing my vendor list, referring others, pointing out where the area attractions are. I want to form a social media friendship with them because oftentimes that friendship, that relationship is going to lead to business down the road. I want to be their go-to person for community related information. Okay. The second group of people, so the first is the homes for sale, homes for rent, what's going on in the area group. The second is I'm looking for groups that are have people in them that are in my target clientele group or groups, people that I have things in common with. So for me, it might be other horse groups, it might be DIY groups, it might be gardening groups, other outdoor groups, sourdough groups, right? Whatever my stuff is. And my goal here when I join those groups is not to vomit real estate, but I'm working to build relationship with other people that I have things in common with, ideally local to my area. Okay. Those relationships could lead to transactions if I pay attention to what's being said. Have a good day, Deborah. Right? So first type of group are those that I can become the area expert. Second is those that I want to build relationship with, that if I pay attention, it might turn into transactions. And the final way is that I have created local groups for ones that didn't exist. Okay. It's given me the opportunity to connect with others that have things in common with me. Again, here, the goal is not vomit real estate. The goal is to build relationship, to friend and follow these people that join those groups, to be part of their personal page, to start interacting with them so that they're seeing my content on their page, right? Because that opens the door for business. But just remember that if we create a group, we need to make sure there's content and interactions happening in that group. So we need to be consistent in that as well. The thought here is that we're not waiting for people to come to us. We're going out and finding people. So some tips when it comes to groups. Number one, keep track of the groups that you have joined because you want to participate in those groups. Unjoin groups that you aren't active in. But please don't do them all at once. Only leave 1 to 2 groups per day and not more than 5 per week. You're going to get in trouble for leaving too many at one time. I've done it. And then we want to make sure we're putting out valuable content for the groups that we belong to. Again, we're not really looking to self-promote. We're looking to be a resource and to build relationships. In addition to that, you want to emote and comment on posts and responses to your posts in both groups and on your feed. When you emote, again, don't use the thumbs up, use anything else. And in groups, oftentimes groups allow you to earn badges, work to earn those badges in those groups. And anytime it asks you if you want to accept a badge, do it because it puts you in the higher ranking in that group. To find groups to join, make lists of your interests, your ideal client. It should all be tied to it. Okay, join 3 to 4 groups. Okay, I would say that's the max. Once you're good at posting and managing those groups, not necessarily even creating groups, once you're good at like being part of those groups, posting consistently, asking questions, even if you already know the answer to the question, ask the question anyways, right? Interact with those people. Then you can add 1 or 2 more at a time, but give yourself at least a month of making sure that you're good at interacting, following up, building relationships with the people in those groups. In addition to that, you can post an introduction video. Okay, your name, what you do, etc. Most groups, they have a rule against self-promotion. But an intro video is not self-promotion. It's saying who you are, why you joined the group, what you're looking forward to in that group, and letting them know what you do. It's like sneaky self-promotion, right? So if I was joining a horse group, I might be like, hey, my name's Amy. I have 4 horses. You know, I don't even like paints, but 3 out of 4 of my horses are paint. I also have an Appaloosa. I joined this group because I'm looking for a new saddle and I'm so excited to, you know, find the saddle of my dreams in this community. By the way, I'm also a real estate agent in the Vacaville area. So if you have any questions, feel free to reach out. right? So whatever that is, like why you joined the group, something about yourself that's related to that group. I've been doing sourdough now for 1.5 years, and I have this haphazard way of doing sourdough where you don't have to care for it every day. I'm looking for tips to better my process. And I'm a real estate agent in Solano County, right? So whatever that might be, just throw it in there. We're just kind of drip it on in this welcome video. Okay. All right, I think this is the last slide here. I promised you guys a weekly schedule. So here's the weekly schedule. So every day we want to post with a goal of 3 times per day. Okay. So make sure that's on your calendar. We want to wish people happy birthday on a daily basis, and we want to interact with people that interact with us at least 2 times per day. So we want to time block those things on our calendar if we're doing this for lead gen. In addition to that, on day 1, I started with Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, but then I thought, well, if you're taking your 2 days off and maybe it's Sunday, Monday, now you feel like you're behind from the week. So day 1 of your work week, you're going to create all the content and get it scheduled or posted for this next week. Day number 2 of your work week, we are going to delete any old friend requests from the past week. I think, oh, here, delete any old, okay. Delete any old friend requests. I didn't update my notes. Delete any old friend requests from the past week, and we're going to work to grow our friends and following. So we're going to add those 5 people. Work on sending those friend requests out to about 5 people per day. Remember I said 20 to 25 people. So if we do that, you can do it all on one day. Day number 3, we're going to interact with those scheduled to interact with. Remember I said, put them on a quarterly interaction plan. Who are we supposed to be interacting with this week? Or if you've got people in your database that you were supposed to send social media messages to, this is that day. So let's interact with those people. Let's go to their feed, see what they've got going on, comment on one of their posts. Okay, day 4, we're going to send messages to those we're scheduled to send messages to. They might be people we interacted with the day before. They might be people from our database, whoever that is, we're going to send messages. It gives us an additional touch. It's an additional interaction working with that. We're going to review and clean up groups on day 5. Okay, so that's where we can go in, make sure that we're commenting, posting, interacting with our groups, make sure there's content there, make sure everybody's happy. And then we're going to clean up groups that we're no longer utilizing any longer. Okay, so again, daily post with a goal 3 times per day, wish happy birthday, interact with those that interact with us at least twice per day. So that's all on a daily basis. And then those other days we can assign specific tasks. So we stay on top of all the things that we need to do to keep our content in front of the most number of people as possible and continue to grow our reach. What questions, ahas, thoughts do you have on this before we wrap up today? And thanks for hanging with me. We went over our time. I'm sorry. Anything? You can throw it in the comments box. You can unmute yourself. What are your thoughts, questions, or
great,
ahas?
Amy. Thank you.
Good. I'm glad you liked it, Shauna. Iris says all good. Fabulous. Deborah hopped off early. All right. I hope it was helpful. If you guys have any questions, never hesitate to reach out. I have no idea what we're covering on Thursday, but it'll be valuable content like this one. Maybe it's farm on Thursday. I know it's coming up. So anyways, yep, farm. Farm is on Thursday. So we'll be talking about how to dig in and lead generate inside a farm. You guys have a fabulous week. We'll see you Thursday. You are welcome, Iris.